corporate leaders and the management students of School of Management. It bridges the gap between theory and practice and equips our students to face the corporate challenges with the right perspective. The School of Management conducts two-day MDP program thrice in every academic year to enhance and hone the skill competencies by bridging academia and industry. A generous prayer is never presented in vain. The petition may be refused, but the petitioner is always, I believe, rewarded by some gracious visitation. On this auspicious day, let us invoke God's blessings. I now invite our college choir to lead us in prayer. Always stand ajar, ready to welcome the ecstatic experience. I now invite Mr. Alison Babu, the student coordinator, to welcome the gathering.
The way to get started is to quit talking and begin doing. Walt Disney. A very good morning to one present here. It gives me an immense pleasure to deliver the welcome address for the two-day virtual management development program on the topic Disruptive Innovations and Opportunities in Retailing, post-COVID-19, the next normal. Management Development Program is a flagship and a prestigious initiative of School of Management, which paves way for an informative interaction between eminent personalities and the students at the School of Management. These interactions provide knowledge beyond books and equip students for their future endeavors. It's not whether you get knocked down, it's always whether you get up. To start with, I would like to welcome the chief guest, Sri Harish Bijoor, who has shown by his journey of life to stand firm with your dreams, and one day you can be inspiration to many. I welcome you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
A leader is a dealer in hope. I welcome Reverend Father St. George, Principal, KRISTU JAYANTI College, who has been a determined and focused leader for all of us. I welcome you, Father.
Thank you.
I extend my hearty welcome to Dr. Aloysius Edward J., Dean Commerce and Management, who has been constantly contributing towards student development programs. I welcome you, sir. A pleasing welcome to our beloved Dr. M.K. Baby, Head School of Management, who is an efficient leader and motivator for all of us. I welcome you, sir. I welcome our beloved Professor Sandy Matthews, Director, Center for Employability and Corporate Relations, who is an efficient leader and motivator for all of us. I welcome you, sir. I extend my cordial welcome to Dr. D. Ravindran, Faculty Coordinator for this virtual MDP, who leads everything with zeal and enthusiasm. I welcome you, sir. I welcome all the faculty members from the School of Management, who are always ready to help and support in all the activities of the department. I welcome you, dear teachers. Heartily welcome to all the participants, academicians, research scholars, and people from the corporate who have joined us from different parts of the country to this virtual MDP. A cheerful welcome to my student coordinators for their dedicated work throughout the headway of this management development program. I welcome all the coordinators. At last, but not the least, I welcome the students of KRISTU JAYANTI School of Management, MBA and PGDM, who will be the leaders of tomorrow and will inspire many. Welcome, dear Jayantians. Once again, I welcome you all to this virtual MDP. Thank you, and I remain.
Thank you, Alison. We welcome you as well. Modern retailers are adapting new technology of marketing.
Will be unmute.
Thank you, Alison. We welcome you as well. Modern retailers are adapting new technology for marketing, retail operation, business transactions. With the space crunch, modern retailers have learned how to use every inch of the floor constructively and has a growing retail and recent business trends. It's very apt that our MTP program talks about the emerging business trends and leaders for disruptive innovations and opportunities in retailing. To know more about the topic, I now invite Dr. D. Ravindran, Faculty Coordinator, to give prelude on MDP.
human being. A very warm good morning to one and all present here. I'm thankful to Father Principal Reverend Dr. Agustin George for providing me opportunity to organize the virtual National MVP program. Heartful welcome to respected Chief Guest, Mr. Harish Bijoor, and beloved Dean, Head of the Department, faculty members, participants, and students of School of Management for the support. Retail. Retail is the word derived from the French word retailier, which means cut into pieces or break the bulk. Marketing guru Philip Kotler states that any organization selling goods to final consumers, whether it is a manufacturer or a wholesaler or a retailer, is actually doing retailing. It does not matter how the goods and services are sold, whether it is by person or mail, telephone, vending machine, robots, or internet, or it doesn't matter from where we are selling, from a store, in street, or from consumer home itself. It's all retailing. The retailing is the activity which links producers and consumers. Indian retail market is one of the fastest growing market in the world. India is the world's fifth largest global destination in the retail space. Despite the slight fall due to the current global pandemic, the retail industry growth rate is still expected to return back to 4.5% in 2021. And Asia is considered to be the driving force behind much of the 2020 retail industry, accounting for 45% of total global retail sales. The emerging retail concept, buy online, pick up in store, that is BOBUS, increased by 259% compared to the last year. With increasing need for technological support for retailing, we cannot underestimate the concept of human interactions and the importance of retail employees. Starting from day-to-day necessity goods to luxury goods, manufacturers and retailers are need to adapt all possible technologies like artificial intelligence, RFID, predictive analytics, augmented and virtual reality, cloud computing, blockchain, etc., to follow consumers with their changing preferences and expectations. We are hearing the news daily on closing of many once successful retail shops one side and opening up of new retailers another side with new formats and services. Even Amazon, Alibaba, Flipkart will move towards the physical stores in collaboration with the local retailers. Walmart, Target, McDonald's will strengthen their digital presence of their virtual shopping experience. Even Indian corporates like Reliance, Tata will redesign their retailing system in all their business and product offerings. The future of retail in post-pandemic world will experience more challenges and opportunities, making small is beautiful. Even a 6-inch mobile screen will create a shopping experience, and acres of land may not require to offer lakhs and more brands and services through virtual stores. In this context, this MDP program on disruptive innovation and opportunities in retailing post-COVID-19, the next normal, will provide us the real forum to realize, interact, relearn on the retailing, which is highly required for making our India lead ahead in global arena. The MDP program has 6 technical sessions spread over 2 days to be delivered by the corporate leaders expertised in the retailing area. The first and inaugural session is on creating value through retail brands, and the speaker is our Honorable Chief Guest, Sri Harish Bijoor, founder, Harish Bijoor Consults Incorporation. The second forenoon session is on effective channel management in enhancing modern retailing by Sri Haridas, Vice President Sales and Marketing, Blue Star Limited. The third session will be by Srimati Merville Varghese, IDC, United Arab Emirates, who will discuss on digital innovations in retailing in the post-COVID-19 world. The fourth session of MDP on the second day will be chaired by Sri Kumar Rajagopalan, CEO, Retailer Association of India. He will share on channel complexities in post-COVID-19 retailing. The fifth technical session will be delivered by Sri Vinod Hayagriv, Managing Director, Sri Krishnaya Chetty Group of Jewelers. He will enlighten us on drivers of retail growth post-pandemic. The last technical session of this MDP will be handled by Sri Cyril K. Babu, Deputy Vice President, Retail Banking and Remittance, Axis Bank Limited, on the topic Emerging Challenges in Retail Banking. I, along with you all, looking forward to the very interesting and useful sessions of the virtual national level MDP, and I'm sure that we will get empowered to perceive and perform better with the safety in post-pandemic days. Thank you all. I remain.
Thank you, sir. A good leader takes a little more than his share of blame, a little less than his share of the credit. Arnold H. Glaser. Our beloved principal, Reverend Dr. Augustine George, your goodwill, appreciation, motivation, support, and positive vibration has a great impact in molding ourselves for the integral dimensions of the great growth of this great institution, whose charismatic leadership and dynamic exertion will take KRISTU Jayanti College higher than ever. Now I request our principal, Reverend Dr. Augustine George, to deliver the presidential address.
Most respected and distinguished Sri Harish Bijoor, the brand guru and the thinker, the chief guest and the speaker of the day, Dr. Aloysius Edward, Dean, Faculty of Commerce and Management, Dr. M.K. Baby, the head, School of Management, the coordinators of the program, faculty members, delegates, and students. I'm pleased to note that the School of Management is organizing a series of online academic enriching programs. And today we are starting an MTP on disruptive innovations and opportunities in retailing post-COVID-19, the next normal. I'm happy to wish all the best. I join with the entire KRISTU Jayanti College to welcome all of you to this program. I hope all of you are safe and healthy, and that is my prayer as well. Our friends and families have all reacted differently to this pandemic that is sweeping the globe, but we are trying our level best to make our days normal by involving in many online academic programs. I appreciate the effort of the School of Management to engage students and their learning more effective through many interactive platforms. I'm very happy to see the presence of many luminaries as resource persons of this MDP. I joined with the entire School of Management to express our feeling of gratitude to Mr. Sri Harish Bijoor, the brand guru and thinker, the founder Harish Bijoor Consultants Incorporation, and who is kindly consented to be the chief guest of the day. You saw your presence adds more value to this program. Your experience and your expertise will stimulate the young minds, and I am sure your session will be a feast to the hungry minds of knowledge seekers. KRISTU Jayanti College, which is a manifestation of the dreams of Saint Kuriakose Elias Chavra and the founding father of CMI congregation, which runs around 60 colleges and 700 plus schools across the country. And we had a humble beginning in 1999 with the 9 students, but has made exponential growth to 8,000 students with envious recognition and awards because of the blessings of many people. We believe learning is more effective when there is engagement with the people, engagement with ideas. We conduct an average of 600 programs in an year and open the window of opportunity to students to listen and interact with the visionaries. Now, this MTP is another attempt. I'm fascinated with today's topic, the retail. Like most industries has been moving linearly, and the business models and practices of the past are becoming increasingly irrelevant. Digitization in retail is, however, accelerating rapidly and much faster than we think. It is because technology is playing an increasingly important role and is influencing more of our day-to-day life. Advanced technologies such as the 3D printing, the facial recognition, virtual and augmented reality, and robotics are engaging, and these are emerging, the technologies and giving retailers new ways to engage customers and to run their business more effectively while the costs continue to decrease. But it is not the technological change that is disrupting the retail, but an overall change in the consumer preferences and behaviors, as well as the seller competencies and capabilities. While consumer demands might not have changed much, but people still want a quality product, fast and cheaper, the expectations have never been higher. The consumer has become a product experience expert, is actively using the price and product comparison size and developing brand blindness. I can say that they're becoming less loyal to a specific brand and the retailers for their shopping needs. It is because we are hyper connected. We are spoiled by choice and expect things fast and with the little of no effort. So it is fair to say that the retail landscape has become increasingly complex and that the lines between the physical and the digital continue to blur. More and more brick and mortar stores continue to move online, and while the non-traditional the players such as Amazon, the Flipkart, the Alibaba, they all started challenging the established brick and mortar incumbents. And in this scenario, it's a right move from the School of Management to conduct an MDP on disruptive innovations and opportunities in retailing, post-COVID-19, the next normal, which explores the opportunities in the retail industry and the strategies to overcome the current pandemic and economic challenges. I'm very happy to see the people who are the part of this program. I wish all the best to the program, and I congratulate the coordinators of this program for their efficient and coordinated work to bring such an eminent people on the platform so that the student can listen to them, the student can interact with them. And this is going to be one of the best, the learning, the experience for all of us. Wishing all of you all the best. And once again, thanking this speaker, Sri Harish Bijoor, for gracing this occasion. Wishing you all the best, and thank you all. I remain.
Happiness can be found in the darkest of times if one remembers to turn on the light. Dear Father, much obliged to you, Father, for your inspiring and propelling words. Now let's start with the inaugural session on creating value through retail brands. Now I call upon Mr. Nikhil Thomas, Student Coordinator, to introduce the chief guest, Mr. Harish Bijoor.
Thank you, Melby. Quality is never an accident. It is always the result of intelligent effort. Good morning, everyone. I'm Nikhil Thomas, going to introduce chief guest of our MDP, Sri Harish Bijoor. Sri Harish Bijoor is a brand thinker and practitioner operating out of Bangalore. He runs a unique boutique consulting outfit branded Harish Bijoor Consults Incorporated, a brand name that has a consulting presence across the markets of Hong Kong, Seattle, London, Istanbul, Dubai, and the Indian subcontinent. He has spent his career across the aggressive runs of FMCG, telecom, and consumer durables. Sri Harish Bijoor is a public speaker who speaks to corporate audiences across the globe in the realm of motivation, people management issues, brands, marketing, and business at large across the world for more than 16 hours to date. Mr. Harish Bijoor teaches at the Indian School of Business, Hyderabad and Mohali, in addition to semesters at overseas business schools in the US and Europe. He has been teaching at the Indian School of Business for the past 19 years. As the tip of the iceberg, he has recently published a book titled Marketing Trends: Smart Insights into the World of Indian Business. He is currently involved in a second book on core branding titled Brand Irrationals: A Fundamental Journey into Brand Think. Sri Harish is actively involved in research relating to consumer behavior, rural retail networks, and trade mechanisms. He has published papers extensively on the subjects relating to strategic marketing, branding, consumer behavior, retail networks, trend analysis, and many more. Sri Harish Bijoor is an unchanging contributor to business publications and an inspiration in the lives of many. Now I welcome and request Sri Harish Bijoor to please give inaugural address. Welcome, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Nikhil. Thank you for that. I trust I'm audible because in case there is any problem with the technology, the first thing I say is there's a technology warning to say that if there is a problem and if we blink off, just give it 2 minutes, we'll be back. First of all, Reverend Father Principal, respected Dean, faculty, and my dear friends sitting all over the country, I'm sure. It's a pleasure being here at KRISTU JAYANTI College once again. This time I come virtually, not physically. And, to an extent, there are certain joys of coming virtually. That is, if I was to come there physically today, I would have to get up reasonably early, and I'd have to make a travel through Bengaluru traffic of possibly an hour and 15 minutes. If I recall my last bit of travel from my home to the college. And I might have had to skip breakfast at home, which is a precious thing, particularly when you travel a lot. And I would have come there, we'd have waited, and then we would have started, and then I'd have to take a reverse journey back. But today, I think things are different. Yeah, I finished my hearty breakfast of tatte idli, chutney, and sambar at exactly 9:23 a.m. I logged on at 9:25, and I'm speaking to you 1:1. So I haven't compromised on much of my lifestyle. My delicious idlis are within me, and hopefully they will help me share a bit of what I want to share at this inaugural keynote address, which I have been asked to make. So firstly, I'll say that, I see you. You think I don't see you. There are whatever number of people around here, maybe 300 and odd people. I see each and every one of you. Well, that is the threat. And that threat is to ensure that you sit up and listen. The threat is to ensure that your cameras are not muted and only your audio is not muted and you're just participating in a sleepy, dreary mode. The request is that I think when I go through the content of this excellent MDP that has been organized, you've got a stellar list of speakers, there are new thoughts, and I think this is a beautiful time for each one of you to participate actively right through the day to imbibe and imbue everything that is going to be shared. Yeah, because today we are talking about retail, and we're talking about cutting edge retail. Not retail like the way we knew it in 2019. That was so long ago. You know what I mean? 2020 is 20 years away from 2019, or so it seems. Because a lot has happened. And I think I see you. I think I see you. I think I see you because I played this game some time ago. When actually I planted an AI optic tool.
I'm sorry, some disturbance is, sir, I'm sorry, okay, somebody is on the unmuted, okay, please. Some participants are, on the video, because I'm so happy to listen to you. The admin, please unmute all other people except the chief guest.
Okay.
Sorry to interrupt you, please.
Thank you for that. So if you really look at it, a lot has happened. And the last time I went on to a virtual conference, it was a large one. It was about 6,700 people. All I did is I put together an optic visual tool, an AI tool, onto the system. And I was able to get diagnostics from 6,700 people. And guess what? 43% of them were in their pajamas. Okay. 11% of them had a pillow under their head because they were sleeping on their bed and they had the mobile phone in their hands watching the program. I'm sure many of you are in a similar status. But you know, that is a beautiful way of trying to make things interactive. Today, let me assure you that I haven't done that. I haven't put an AI tool, so I don't know what you're doing. But at least let's listen in and try and see what are the key thoughts that are going to be driving retail in this country and globally 2021 onwards. First thing, the first point is normally I use a PowerPoint presentation. But I know that in a virtual format, a PowerPoint presentation dies. Because firstly, this is distant and a PowerPoint takes you even more distant. So I've decided that I'm going to speak to you from my heart, direct from the heart. In some parts of the country, they call it Dil Se. And I think that is the way in which you and I will communicate in the future. Direct, to the point, and hopefully short and crisp. I believe power corrupts and PowerPoint corrupts absolutely. So don't expect a PowerPoint from me. But I'm going to be talking to you about the first bit of retail, and that is the start point to say that, hey guys, retail is the building block of everything. Retail is the primary building block. Retail as a business, the business of a person taking oranges from the orchard and sitting by the street side, displaying it, putting into small little pyramids, displaying it out there and selling to people who are passing by is a form of retail. And guess what? Retail is the earliest, oldest profession in the world. If you really ask me, if retail is so old, retail is forever basically because none of us can do without a little bit of retail in our lives. Every one of us has to buy something and every one of us has to sell something at some point of time or the other. But if you really look at COVID and if you look at what COVID has done, 2019 was really benchmark year for retail. Why retail all our lives? I still remember the start of a lovely book which said, it was the best of times. It was the worst of times. It was the best of times. It was the worst of times. And 2019 was the best of times. 2020, I mean, if you really look at it, the best of times, even if you look at it. What is the best of times? The best of times is the fact that air quality in every city across the world improved beautifully. It was the best of times because people got locked into their homes and personal relationships became more important than anything else in the world. It was the best of times because you could communicate and talk to your beloved ones. It was the best of time because individuals became important as opposed to structures and processes and everything else that was artificial. To an extent, COVID-19 is a disruption. It's a big disruption in our retail lives. It's a big disruption in our lives. And I think when you talk about disruption, there can be three kinds of disruption. One is a disruption by design, which a management consultant will come into your company and say that we will redesign your entire process, your system, your entire approach, and we'll disrupt it. That is one type. That is disruption by volition. The second is disruption by government. And one of the classic examples of a disruption by government was the demonetization of high denomination notes in 2016, which occurred in India for 500 and 1,000 rupee notes. And that disrupted lives. A lot of people were scurrying around because that was the disruption moment. So first is disruption by volition. Second is disruption by government. which we have gone through. And the third is disruption by act of God. Now, I don't know whether it's act of God or should I call it act of devil, but believe it or not, this is an act of God. COVID-19 is a disruption. And why do I call it an act of God? It's a force majeure action. And a force majeure action is an act of God action. None of us anticipated it. None of us wanted it. None of us expected it. It came all of a sudden. And guess what, my dear friends? While each one of us is irritated with COVID-19, just because you guys can't go out to your clubs and do all the dancing which you used to do in the old days, or go to some of the pubs which some of you used to, don't blame COVID-19 at all. Because an act of God is something which we must respect. There must be some method, some reason why COVID-19 happened in the world. And that's a point I insist all the time. COVID-19 is not a negative at all. Yes, it jolted us, it irritated us, it spoiled many of our businesses, it really disrupted us. But no, don't think of it as a negative, because an act of God is never a negative. What do I mean by that? We had cyclone Nivar hitting us. Chennai, Puducherry, Kadalur. If you really look at it, it was terrible out there for sure. But please note, this very cyclone has filled up every water body, numbering something like 83,400 water bodies in that area have got rejuvenated because of cyclone Nivar. So please understand, there is always a plan, and that plan is the big plan. And many of us don't understand the big plan, and therefore we crib, to use a language which you and I use quite often, about anything that comes at us. So my suggestion is, look at COVID-19 as a disruption, but look at it as a positive disruption in businesses, in retail, in lives altogether. Look at all the positive things it's brought about. I was reading a piece, recently in the International Herald Tribune, which said that it seems there was a research being done in London in 26 of their parks, and they found out that there's a small little sparrow there which sings. And in London, they have researched that the sparrow sings at a particular decibel, which is a high decibel. Post-COVID, because of the silence around in London, the sparrow has reduced its decibel by 3 points in singing. And guess what? The song of the sparrow is more melodious today than it was in the pre-COVID days. Well, what am I saying? Nature is something to respect, something to appreciate. And I do believe we need to look at the positives of COVID-19 era as well as the negatives. So it was the best of times, it was the worst of times. It was the worst of times because people are locked up in their homes. It was the worst of times for retail, modern retail of every kind. It was terrible because people did not go to the shops to buy what they were meant to buy. If you look at it, the entire business of demand went out of the window. I work in something like 26 different categories, and in as many as 22 of them, businesses went out of the window. The ice cream industry, something you like. Ice cream went out of the window. During COVID, 7 months, ice cream sales have plummeted to 11% of what is normally sold. Now that is a serious issue. Why has ice cream tanked? Because people have said ice cream is cold. COVID is a cold. Ice cream goes through a cold chain. In the cold chain, there could be germs, and those germs could transmit. Completely wrong rationale, but believe it or not, people believe what they believe. So ice cream retail went for a 6. In this manner, there are several categories which have lost businesses. Today, people don't walk into retail outlets to buy a shirt. They buy it online. I was just looking at this morning's Economic Times, and it says that, this morning's Economic Times says that a total festival sales, we just finished with Diwali. For 45 days, Flipkart and Amazon had festival sales. And in those 45 days, the total sales value they accrued was 7.3 billion US dollars. Now, 7.3 billion is an interesting number because if you compare it to the world population, it's quite close to that. And it simply means to say that for every human being on earth, $1 was spent on e-commerce sale in India on Amazon, Flipkart during the 45-day period. What's the meaning of this? This means that e-commerce has grown. E-commerce has boomed. Does it mean the death of physical commerce? I don't believe so. I do believe physical buying and selling is still going to go on. We are very, very physical animals. We are tactile. We like to see. We like to touch. We like to smell. We like to taste. So if you really ask me, these are processes which will not go out of fashion. Technology will come to tell you how to see. Like on an e-commerce platform, how do you buy a mango? You take a mango. When you go to the market, you see a mango. Can you see the mango on an e-commerce platform? Yes, you can. But can you see the same mango which is going to be sent to you? Maybe not. And that's the downside of an e-commerce platform. Can you smell a mango physically? Yes, when you go to the cart which is selling, you pick up the mango, first thing you do is smell. And today, if you have the power to smell, you're okay. You smell the mango. And can you smell the mango online? Not yet. Not yet. But there are guys who are doing it. I mean, in Colorado, there is a company called DigiSense, which synthesizes, digitizes, and transmits smells online. So in the future, you'll be able to smell the mango. But till then, you'll still want to buy the mango physically. Can you taste the mango online? Not yet. I keep saying not yet. Maybe tomorrow you'll have a lick pad, which you take and you lick to understand different tastes. Can you feel the mango online? Yes, there is a texture-enabled mouse pad. You just go onto it, point it to a mango, and it'll give you the exact texture of the mango on your fingers. Okay. So if you ask me, technology is doing all this, but this is anecdotal stuff, guys. Not yet mass rolled out. Not yet out there in the great Indian marketplace or the global marketplace. So till then, I do believe physical retail will dominate. Yes, there will be these great news stories which will say that Amazon and Flipkart have gobbled together 7.3 billion US dollars in 45 days. Festival sales were good. But I think bulk of India and bulk of the world will run physically, because physical is real and virtual, as the word says, is not real. So if you look at it, I think retail has got several challenges which is coming at it. And each of these challenges are being attended to by a lot of the players. But even as we do it, extremely important to understand one point. And I recently wrote an article on this, wherein I am saying that what Osama bin Laden did to the security products and services industry, what Osama bin Laden did to the security products and services industry, COVID bin Laden has done to the health, services, and products industry. I hope I made the point. I'm simply saying that Osama bin Laden created fear in the world. That one incident, series of incidents in the United States of America, terrorism hitting at the United States of America, that worried not only United States of America, but every part of the world. Every hotel in every country beefed up its security systems. You couldn't go anywhere. Big Brother is watching you. Surveillance became a big industry. The surveillance camera became a big industry. Security checks wherever you go. The electronic checks, the walkthroughs, everything. Guess what? It kicked the entire security services and products industry onto a big bandwagon. Post 9/11, the security services industry grew by 850% in all of 1 year. That means if there was one security guard, it became 8.5 security guards within 1 year, which means employment in the services of security grew, and similarly, product side of it grew as well. So if you look at it, what Osama bin Laden did to the security services and products industry, COVID does to the health services and products industry. Now, retail, in every avatar needs to gear itself and engineer itself to be in sync with these concerns. Hygiene as a big one. Hygiene is the big H factor in retail. You know, when you go out to shop something, you're wearing your mask, you're touching 20 different things, and you're not the only guy touching 20 different things in that shop. There are 600 different people touching. So 600 into 20 into, you can keep on multiplying and saying, these are the kind of touch points that retail is bringing to the party. E-commerce offers you 0 touch point, whereas this offers you multiple touch points. Physical retail is risky, fraught with risk because of this. At this point of time, the guy who cracks that is going to be the biggest savior of physical retail. Well, a lot of big retailers are doing great things today. In fact, you will have several of these retail players coming in later in the day talking to you about what they're doing within their stores, how hygiene is high, how everyone is masked, how everybody is sprayed, how literally being in a PPE suit, how etc. etc. But the important thing is proof is in the eating, and proof is in realizing over subsequent touching of these retail outlets and understanding that all this is hunky-dory and COVID worry is not going to create any negative issue for the entire business of retail. And therefore, consumers are on a proof checking mission. Consumers today are very paranoid. Consumers want to know, where was this manufactured? What is the condition of the various people who are manufacturing it? How many touches happens to the product? Literally asking how many people sneezed on my product. Consumers are paranoid. We just did a research exercise across 21 different cities in India. This is only city-based, okay? Now, the research exercise says the following: 21 different cities, and we checked out what people do. And let me tell you, one of the things that they do, milk comes into the home in the morning in plastic sachets. The housewife gingerly goes and picks the milk from the front of the house. The man of the house gingerly picks it up. The child of the house gingerly picks it up and takes it to the kitchen sink and puts it into the sink. Immediately washes hand with soap and water, because soap kills it all. Then they take a cake of soap and wash that plastic pouch under a tap with soap, and then allow that packet into the home. That's paranoia, my friends. But only the paranoid shall survive. When COVID has created this health paranoia, if I was to do a poll today and ask how many people in your homes do this, I will have a lot of hands going up, but I'm not going to do that poll. The second thing that people are doing, courier packets come to the house. They take the packet, take it out and keep it in the sun. They don't touch it for 2 days. Ouch. How many people doing it? Actually, I will have a lot of people putting up their hands. Health, transmission of the virus is a paranoia. And I think this paranoia is affecting our lives in a big, big way. Retail needs to pull up its socks, ensure that all the paranoia of the physical consumer is removed in totality, not by talk, but by action. And I think that's what we are wanting to see in all of retail. There is a hunt in society for the clean, actually. We hunt for clean air, we hunt for clean water, we hunt for clean clothing, clean technology, clean shelter. So that hunt is definitely going to be there. Retail has another challenge. COVID-19 has made people very indoor oriented. I keep saying, in the old days, when youngsters were growing up, the older people would tell them, young man, young woman, go out there. The world is your oyster. The world is your oyster. I don't say that to anybody now. I tell them, young man, the oyster is your world. The oyster is your world. And your home is your oyster. And guess what? Everything is coming into this oyster. Everything has to come into this oyster. Education. I teach quite extensively, and when I teach, in the old days, it used to be a physical teaching experience. Now, I just finished my term 2 days ago, and I taught online. Guess what? Education has to come into the home. You can't go to education, but education must come in. And that's one of the reasons that why EdTech companies are doing reasonably well today. But is this going to be a forever trend? I don't think so, because the physical will come back. But for the moment, everything has to come into the home. Goods and services need to come into the home. Courier packets need to come into the home. Entertainment needs to come into the home. You can't go out for entertainment. What do I mean by that? The cinema theaters are running empty. So retail cinema is in deep trouble. So what happens? That retail cinema has to come into the home, and therefore Netflix and Amazon and Alt Balaji and every one of the 11 OTT channels have become manna from heaven. If I ask today, how many of you spend more than 2 hours a day? And that's my data that I have. An average Indian is spending 2 hours, 12 minutes on OTT channels in India. We didn't even know OTT channels at one point of time. So entertainment has to come in, education has to come in, food, order services, Swiggy and Zomato, they have to come in. We can't go there, but they come in. And therefore, if you really look at it, retail has become very oyster-oriented. I call it oyster retail. Everything has to come in. The world is not your oyster for the moment. The oyster, your home, is the world. So you have to make a world of your home. And one of the things that bridges it all is technology, bringing stuff in, and technology is doing 20 different things. I'll not go into too much of those details because there isn't enough time to go into it. But there is something which has made people inward in retail. There's something called COVID ostracism, as I call it. Ice cream industry I spoke to you about. You don't want to eat ice cream. Air conditioning industry, another industry I work in. You don't want to be in an air-conditioned surrounding. Ouch, how nice, how interesting. Which means you want only natural air around you. Why? Because an air-conditioned environment can actually circulate the virus all over you, and who knows what can happen. Newspapers. You don't want newspapers even to enter into your society. 81% of people in Mumbai did not allow newspaper vendors to come to their society. And therefore, newspaper sales went down by 81% at a point of time. What happens to their advertising? That is yet another worry. Every place which is a restaurant, a pub, a discotheque, a club, everyone went out of the window. Went out of the window. Offices, oh my God, work from home. 6 big IT companies, 3 of them I work with, have decided that work from home is going to be a permanent feature for them. Permanent feature, not a temporary. So what happens to the real estate industry, which is into office spaces? And office spaces are being converted to be something else. So if you really ask me, retail and every kind of an environment that surrounds retail is in a little bit of trouble. So there is a disconnect with everything that's happening. So what must you do? In this inaugural address, I just wanted to say that it's extremely important for you, as people who are going to be businesses in the future, to be able to keep your finger on the pulse of the consumer. That's very important. You have to watch the consumer, you have to read the consumer, you have to research the consumer. Every breath you take, every step you take, every breath you take, every step you take, market research your way. No gut feel. Gut feel is gone. Gut feel doesn't work in this space. Research. Make sure that you know your consumer, know thy consumer. You need to understand your consumer, and you must cater to that consumer for the new wants, new needs, new desires, new aspirations of the post-COVID consumer. The post-COVID consumer era in retail is a different era than the pre-COVID consumer retail era. And therefore, everybody needs to morph every offering. Many of the offerings need to change. You have to ensure that you look at the world in a slightly better way, in a more holistic way. Gone are the days when corporates were considered greedy, money-minded, profit-oriented people. Forget it, my dear friends. If you're going to be in corporate in the future, you have to be that holistic corporate person, not that money-driven corporate person. Ouch. What's the meaning of that? It simply means to say that brands and consumers and retail outfits need to be taking care of not only the needs and wants and desires and aspirations of the people, but they also need to be taking care of their people. There's a difference here. You take care of the needs of a person with money, wants of a person with money, desires of a person with more money, aspirations of a person with more money. What do I mean? You take care of the needs of a person for water by giving him rail neer, which costs 10 rupees per bottle with money. On 10 rupee bottle, you make 50 paise. You take care of the wants of that person with a bottle of Bisleri, 1 liter. And on that 1 liter of Bisleri, you will make 2 rupees. More money. You take care of the desires of the person with Himalayan mineral water. Maybe you take out 20 rupees as profit from that. And you take care of the aspirations of the people with Evian mineral water from one of those exotic rivers, maybe from France, and you maybe take out 300 rupees from a liter of bottle as profit. That is taking care of the needs, wants, desires, and aspirations of the people. Needs, wants, desires, and aspirations of the people versus taking care of the people. By taking care of the people, I mean taking care of the people the way you're meant to. Every human being is meant to be concerned about another human being. Therefore, why not one corporate, one retail outfit not be concerned about the people? Why must not a corporate business be concerned about the people? So gone are the days of lip service, which was being done as corporate social responsibility activity by corporates and retail players. You need to reach it. I want to conclude this inaugural session with just one story of which I keep narrating off and on about a travel of mine to Italy many years ago. Many years ago, I traveled to Italy into a set of 3 prefectures. And I love coffee, and I was in coffee those days. And I love coffee, so I went into a cafe in Italy. And I walked into the cafe and I asked the guy for a cup of coffee. Those days in Italy, you had to pay money for the coffee before buying it. Then you go and sit and they bring it to your table. So I went to the cafe guy and I asked him, I looked at the board which was out there in lira, all the prices were written. And I am a true blue Indian, I'm totally desi, I'm very money conscious. And so I looked at the entire board, picked on the cheapest coffee that was available, okay, the small one. And then I asked him to give me that, and I had to part with 360 rupees in lira value for one small cup of coffee. So I was about to pay him, and the guy looks at me and he says, "Sir, would you like to suspend a coffee? Would you like to suspend a coffee?" Now, I was taken aback and I said, "Hey, listen, in my mind, I thought I've been in corporate for a long number of years. I've never ever suspended a human being. How can I suspend a coffee?" Guy looks at me and says, "Suspending coffee is a concept, sir, concept." The moment he told me it's a concept, I said, wow, my antennae stood out and I said, tell me, what is this concept? So the guy says, sir, you are a rich person. Now, when somebody tells you you're a rich person, you feel bad. You say, no, I'm not rich. That's exactly what I told him. And then the guy says, sir, you're a rich person. He says, I'm not rich. No, you come from India. You're rich. You paid ticket money to come to Italy and you got another ticket to go back, hopefully. Otherwise, your visa wouldn't have been granted. Hey, listen, you're a rich man. I said, okay. And he looks at me and says, the rich must take care of the poor. The rich must take care of the poor. I'm wondering, why is he saying these things? This is what I heard my grandmother tell me when I was a small kid. She used to say, the rich must take care of the poor. She was trying to imbibe values into me. And I said, what do you mean by that? He said, Italy is a poor country. I said, Italy is a poor country? Yes. There are people like you and me who can drink coffee in a cafe like this, but there are poor people who are walking outside. There's a glass window, they can look in. They can't buy my coffee because they're poor people. I nearly wanted to tell him, then you serve free coffee to them. No, but I didn't say that. So the guy says, listen, rich must take care of the poor. I said, what is suspended coffee? He says, you paid 360 Indian rupees value in lira terms for one coffee. You pay me another 360 rupees. I will suspend the coffee. I asked him, are you going to give me 2 cups of coffee? He said, no. Then what are you going to do? I'm going to suspend it. He's got a white board looking outwards and he'll go there and write against it, cappuccino, 1, 2, 3, 4, ticks are there and tally marks are there. And he will put my tally also there. And when a poor Italian walks into his store after looking at that board and asks for a cappuccino, he will look at that Italian, assess if he's poor, and he'll give my cappuccino, freshly made, free to him. And that guy can walk in anytime. Then I looked at him and asked him the true blue Indian question. I asked him, how does he know that I gave this coffee to him? Do you know one thing, my dear friends? In charity, there are different kinds of charity. There is selfish charity, where you want to see the pleasure on the face of the guy you're giving money to. I don't think that's pure charity at all. But we are human beings. And I asked him, how does he know that I gave it to him? So the Italian standing there, coffee maker, looks at me and says, sir, he will not know who gave it to him. I said, then what will I get in return? And the Italian coffee maker says, sir, blessings, blessings. This is something my grandmother used to tell me. This is the Kainat theory, the theory of the universe. You put good into the universe, good will come back to you. You put good into the universe, good will come back into you. Maybe now, maybe for the next generation of your children or the grandchildren. Guess what, guys? We have lived with these concepts in India quite heavily, deeply, but we don't practice them. In Italy, a small little store is doing this and he's calling it suspended coffee, and it's become a big movement in Italy. The rich take care of the poor. My dear friends, the reason I told you this story is to just tell you that new retail, post-COVID retail, needs to have a different ethos, a different thinking, a different heart value, a different emotive value, a paradigm breaking value which takes care of people and not only their needs, wants, desires, and aspirations. That's new retail. Can you take care of your people rather than their needs, their wants, their desires, and their aspirations? Thank you, my dear friends. It's been an absolute pleasure doing this inaugural address. I know I might have some time for questions, but those of you who will not have the opportunity to ask those questions, you're welcome to catch me on social media, which is, absolutely right. I'd set an alarm for 10:29 and that's the exact time. You can catch me on social media at Harish Bijoor, HARISH Either you can catch me on LinkedIn, you can catch me on Twitter, or you can catch me on Insta. Thank you. Over to you.
Thank you, sir. Your words were thought-provoking and informative, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, Nikhil.
Now the floor is open for questions.
Sir, a very good morning, sir. This
Yeah,
is Jibin
morning.
Jose. I'm doing my second year of MBA in KRISTU JAYANTI School of Management. Sir, my question to you is there are certain countries, including the major developing countries, who are into major service industry. Probably for them, like the economic shutdown or any recession will lead to have a tough time for them to survive. In that case, companies who are into retail industry in those particular countries, how do you think they can actually survive in those sectors wherein the service industry is more in hype than compared to the service industry or manufacturing industry?
Excellent question. Let me give you a quick answer on that. See, I do a fair bit of work in France. And if you really look at France, France is one of these countries, by the way. It's very, very service centric as well. Norway, Sweden, Denmark, many of them are very, very totally into services. The Switzerland, very seriously into services, apart from their very famed watch industry. If you really look at France, what's happened, there is a new mayor in Paris called Anne Hidalgo. Anne Hidalgo. You can Google her. Or you can check her out on my Twitter ID where I've condensed all these messages. If you look at it, Anne Hidalgo has suddenly declared that post-COVID, we are going to make Paris into a 15-minute city. What is a 15-minute city? Paris is productizing. From being service-oriented, it wants to productize. That means in every area, there will be what in India we call a kirana store or a mom and pop store, as they call it there. There will be mom and pop stores populating these places, which means that new small retail outlets are going to be opening in every nook and cranny. The old habit was there will be one large Carrefour outlet, let's say, which is about 16 kilometers away. Everybody will go into that Carrefour outlet, buy and come out. Now, no. This is not a one Carrefour kind of a philosophy, but it is going to be 20,000 Carrefour's philosophy. Now, this is causing for micro retailing. So micro retail is taking one large Asda supermarket, one large Walmart, and breaking it up and breaking its businesses, breaking its consumer sets into tiny, tiny pieces. So one Walmart is equal to 20,000 stores. Guess what, my dear friend? This is the reverse direction retail is going in today. In the beginning, in India, what's really happening is small retail outlets. India is a nation of retail outlets. The total number of retail outlets in India is 14.6 million retail outlets. 14.6 million is a large number. The population of 6 in India is about 14 million people. That means as much as the population of 6 in India, we have that many retail outlets. So see how large it is. 14.6 million retail outlets were there. Now they become aggregated into lesser number of retail outlets. They become aggregated into small mom and pop supermarkets. They become aggregated into a Walmart, and they become aggregated into a Walmart supermart or a hypermarket, which means to say that small go out of fashion and big come into the situation. Now in Paris, in France, it's the right reverse. They're already aggregated at the top. They're all about big. So they want to split that big into small, that small into micro small. Do you understand how this reaction is going? That's a great way of answering your question to do what we must do for the future. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir.
Good morning, sir.
Morning.
So my name is Andrews, doing my first year MBA in the college. So I wanted to ask you a question, sir. So by analyzing to what you said and looking currently, so retail and e-retailing, the one thing which I found which will be majorly booming is the delivery sector. Like the delivery will become the most profitable if I'm like thinking of it and if you see of research. So I just want to know your outlook on it, sir, because you have seen both the sides of the same coin of retailing, e-retailing and retailing. So do you think in the future that delivery will become the most profitable business if I'm going into that aspect?
Okay, again, a good question. Retail is about many things. Retail is about a person sitting at home and a person going to the market and the market coming to the home. So the market can come to the home or the person can go to the market. Now the market coming to the home is a theory, but believe it or not, in India, if we have 1.3 billion people, can you imagine the entire market coming into the homes of 1.3 billion people? Not possible, because our traffic jams, our traffic roads would be able to carry only these people bringing stuff in, because everybody buys in bits and pieces. So if you look at it, theoretically speaking, delivery is going to be, logistics, delivery is going to be a big item, but it will hit a glass ceiling. And when it hits a glass ceiling, that people will start evaluating and say, I'm paying so much for delivery. Should I pay for delivery or should I spend that amount by going to the shop and saving money on that delivery? Now I'll give you metrics, okay, without naming clients, because these are all clients and I wouldn't like them to get upset. There is a client which does home delivery of fruits and vegetables, okay? And this guy does delivery and he sends you a packet of, dosa batter. Dosa batter is the, let's take an ID dosa batter. The ID dosa batter, 2 kg one might cost 140 rupees on e-commerce site. 140 rupees for 2 kgs to reach you. The same dosa batter is available at 111 rupees at a local retail store, because they give you discounts and they give you below MRP as well. Below MRP is the norm. So if I can say 29 rupees on one item from physical retail, will I go to physical or will I continue paying 29 rupees for one item? An average home buys 106 different SKUs, 106. I've given you value and price of only one SKU. If you multiply that into 106, of course, the value will go up and down depending on what it is. A katta of Katmiri might cost 6 rupees, whereas something could cost 250 rupees. So if you look at it, there is a lot of value leakage which will go into delivery. And consumers are savvy people. At the end of the day, they will assess this and they'll say, water will find its own level. And consumers will say, I want to go back to retail, physical retail. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. So this is the one thing which I also found out, like when I was during COVID, when I was staying in my room as being a student, like starting we used to deliver. But at the end, I told my roommate, we won't deliver, we'll go to the shop and we'll buy.
Excellent. Okay.
Sir, there is a question from Mr. Harigaran, first year MBA. Sir, my question is that the retail sector will be looking to undergo a cultural change and adopt a new paradigm based on the consumer preference and changing habits in the future. So how soon can we see a change in the retail way of doing business and how successful can it be back in the business?
Okay. If you really look at retail, I mean, recovery of retail. Let me just talk a little bit about recovery of retail. I think it will take a little bit of time for retail to recover. A lot of retail owners who have high street stores are coming to me and asking me, what must I do? These are guys who had built very, very good brand names, very local brand names, and they would be in a Bangalore, they would be on a Brigade Road or an MG Road, etc. In a Mumbai, they would be in Colaba Causeway. So these are the guys who are saying, what should we do? I'm saying, just imagine that you're just starting retail once again. Retail owners need to step out onto the street. If you own a big store on MG Road or Brigade Road, I mean, it's fine, but the point is, don't behave like the owner of that store, behave like the salesman of that store. You have to step out of your store, stand on the street with your mask on, and with maybe a couple of placards and request people to walk into your store once again. Retail people have to build volume from scratch. Retail people have to do every small dirty job that needs to be done to bring people back into the store. You cannot depend on the allure of the brand. In branding, retail branding is a different science. In retail, branding alone will not help you. Extremely critical for the retail portion of it to be 90 and branding portion to be 10. and not the other way around. Retail branding is 90 retail and 10 branding. It's not 90 branding and 10 retail. And that's, I think there is an answer in that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sir, enough, sir. Sir, enough questions. Enough.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Gentle reminder, I kindly request all of you to on the video for a photo session.
Okay.
Gratitude turns what we have into enough and more. It turns denial into acceptance, chaos into order, confusion into clarity. It makes sense of our past, brings peace for today, and creates a vision for tomorrow. I now call upon Ms. Surmi Shepherd, Student Coordinator, to propose the word of thanks.
Do not sit still. Start moving now. In the beginning, you may not go in the direction you want, but as long as you are moving, you are creating alternatives and possibilities. By Rodolfo Costa. I would like to thank KRISTU JAYANTI College for working so hard to help us continue our education as best as possible, even through this pandemic time. I consider it a great privilege to propose a vote of thanks on this given opportunity of virtual MDP conducted by KRISTU JAYANTI College, Bangalore. On behalf of KRISTU JAYANTI School of Management, I extend a sincere gratitude to our chief guest, Shri Harish Bijoor, brand guru and thinker, founder at Harish Bijoor Consults Incorporation, for sharing time from his busy schedule, for sharing his vast knowledge and wisdom among us, and for agreeing to be a part of this Spectrum series, Virtual Management Development Program on disruptive innovations and opportunities retailing post-COVID-19 next normal scenario. Thank you so much, sir. I take this opportunity to thank Reverend Father Dr. Augustine George, Principal of KRISTU JAYANTI College, for his words of wisdom that radiates a source of energy within all of us and motivate us throughout our journey. Thank you so much, Father. I would like to take this opportunity to thank the mastermind behind the scenes, Dr. Aloysius Edward, Dean, Faculty of Commerce and Management, who is an epitome of strength and a great pillar of support in overall development of the institution and for all the students. Thank you, sir. I extend my sincere gratitude to Dr. M.K. Baby, Head, School of Management, who always stand by us, guide us, lead us, and motivate us to achieve something better each day. Thank you, sir. My sincere gratitude to Dr. D. Ravindran, MDP, coordinator for his efforts and determination towards planning this program and making this a great success. Thank you, sir. My heartfelt thanks goes to all the faculty members and the student coordinators for meticulously planning and organizing this event. Thank you all. I would like to take this opportunity to thank all the participants who have consented to be a part of this conference from various parts of the country. Thank you, dear participants. Finally, I would like to take this opportunity to place on record my hearty thanks to our enthusiastic audience for actively participating and making this event a resounding success. Thank you all once again. I remain.
Thank you, Surumi. Kindly remain as the chief guest takes leave. General guidelines. Parents and other participants join back at sharp 11:40 a.m. for the second keynote session. Thank you.